also in chapter 8 of Political Treatise by Baruch Spinoza. Baruch talks about property ownership, in particular real estate. And I think I've had another video where I was talking about this, almost the same idea, where he talks about it, either in this particular book or in the theological political treatise, where he talks about real estate, and in particular how real estate ownership is a critical component when it comes to how you organize society. If it's not done right, then it makes society unstable. If it is done right, it makes society stable. This is what he says. When land is owned by the state, all but the patricians are foreigners. It cannot be without danger to the whole dominion that the lands and houses and the whole soil should remain public property and be let to the inhabitants at a yearly rate. So he says, if the entire, and I think there are countries where this has been tried, thinking maybe communist Soviet Russia, for example, USSR, and other places where communist kind of government come to power, where all the land is nationalized. That is the language that is used, or it's made to be a public property. Then he says there is danger there. In the case of an aristocratic form of government, then everybody else is a foreigner except the people in power. They are the patricians. Become the only people who are not foreigners. Everybody else becomes a foreigner if they cannot own a piece of land. And he says there is danger to that, and he explains this in the next paragraph. He says, for the subjects having no part in the dominion will easily, in bad times, all forsake their cities if they could carry where they pleased what goods they possess. And therefore lands and farms are not to be let, but sold to the subject, yet on condition that they pay every year an adequate part of the year's produce. So he says if the citizens are not allowed to own piece of the immovable asset, which is land, then during times when things are not going well, maybe there is war coming or things like that, the citizens can so easily up and go. They can just pick whatever they own, which is movable, maybe small things that they can carry with them, and they move. They don't have an incentive to stay and fight. But if they own the immovable asset, which is land, then if there is danger coming, they have an incentive to stay and fight for their land. In fact, fighting for our land is a language that you might run into a lot when you are listening or reading about people fighting. It's fighting for their land. Land is such an important thing in their lives that they are willing to sacrifice their security for it. But if the land is not part of what they own, then they can just pick everything else they own and move, and that leaves the dominion vulnerable.